Joining me now on set, Leigh Ann Caldwell, Washington Post Live anchor and co-author of the Early 202. Cornell Belcher, Democratic pollster, NBC News political analyst, and does his share of Georgia polling in particular. Stephen Hayes, editor and CEO of The Dispatch, and also an NBC News political analyst. So, Cornell, I said that about Georgia. You see a lot of numbers. There's a part of me that sits there and thinks, then Walker can't win this race. What? Okay, tell me why I'm wrong. All right, yeah. Well, what would concern you in Team Warnock land?
Well, a couple things. One is getting those voters back out for runoff. Right now, it looks like, and I think the lieutenant governor was a perfect example of the problem that Herschel Walker has, is that all those Kemp voters, what's their energizing moment for turning back out right now, especially with the Senate already decided, right? Those Kemp voters who did not go down ballot, how are you going to turn those back out? Right now, it looks like that the Warnock campaign does have a slight edge. But, Chuck, you know it's Georgia. It's going to come down to maybe 30, 40,000 votes. It's going to be razor thin. Either way, I think Walker was absent from the campaign trail the last sort of week or so, which I know is giving a lot of people pause there. But he's also got a built-in, energized base of supporters there, but not the Kemp voters that he needs to get, I think, to get over the top.
Steve, I know where your head is at on Trump world, right, and what you think Trump has done to the conservative movement. If Walker wins, is that a setback? You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like in the attempts to purge Trump from the party? That's a good way to frame
the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think certainly Donald Trump would tout it as a victory, right? Even though he's not in the state and he's not a very active part of his campaign.
His guy.
It's his candidate, but it was also Mitch McConnell's candidate pretty early, right? So Mitch McConnell, I think, would take some credit for that. Yeah, I think it would be a setback for the parts of the Republican Party who want to do what they can to move on from Donald Trump, because Herschel Walker is so manifestly unqualified to be senator. And what you saw from the lieutenant governor there is an expression of what so many people are saying about Herschel Walker in generally and in private. They will say, we don't want him as a senator. We'd like the vote, but we don't want Herschel. Nobody's enthusiastic about Herschel Walker as a senator.
Leigh Ann, that's what I sense from Republicans here in D.C. They're like, oh, my God, what if he does win? Because they just worry that he would be this just constant potential problem, or he just stays quiet for 6 years. I mean, I don't know whether that's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to go into the Senate floor and vote up or down.
Tommy Tuberville seemed to figure this out.
Right, exactly. But can he also keep his mouth shut, too, when he's asked questions by reporters in the hallway? And that's the problem. But I will say, you know, at the beginning, it seems like Republicans are kind of phoning it in right now in this race.
That's what it feels like. And, absolutely. It's a good way of putting it.
And especially since, as you've mentioned, control
They've
the
written
Senate
all the checks. They're like, yes,
exactly.
we're spending the amount of money.
Right.
And don't say we're not, right?
Yeah, they're spending money, and we'll spend your money. But also, right after the election, when it was going to runoff, Republicans were telling me Kemp has to get involved. And the reason is so that those Kemp voters will vote for Walker. And it's just not working. It doesn't seem to be. I mean, we'll see, but it just, you know, Kemp was the sauce that they thought was going to help Walker in this runoff. And we'll see if he's able to pull it out.
All right, speaking of Trump, here's a new national poll that is going to drive Mar-a-Lago's chief resident crazy. It comes from our friends at Marquette University. It's a national poll. This is not of Wisconsin. It's a national poll. These guys do a good job here. As you can see, Biden versus DeSantis is 42-42. Biden versus Trump is 44-34, 10-point deficit there. Look, this is less about DeSantis to me, and this poll shows you this is where there's some Trump fatigue in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
It's clear. Is it enough? That's the question. Is it enough?
I don't find that poll at all surprising, right? I mean, this is what we know about the current Republican Party. And what's interesting in the aftermath of this controversy over the dinner with the bigots that Donald Trump had.
A nice way of putting it. Dinner with bigots.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it was. We all knew, he knew what he was doing there. This is not some secret. Kanye West has been making these comments generally. There's a difference between the way that Republican elected officials are reacting in the aftermath of that dinner and all of the other Trump controversies before. Because it used to be that they would scurry around Capitol Hill and try to avoid comment because they didn't want to be entangled. They didn't want to antagonize Trump. They mostly, I don't think, care about that anymore. So they're willing to speak out, or they don't want to say anything because they're just exhausted by the whole thing.
I was just meeting with someone up on Capitol Hill, and it was a senior aide. It wasn't an actual member, but unprompted said, now that Trump is out of the picture. And it was just so telling to me, and this is from a conservative member, And it was just, it was a sign that, okay, they think that he really has no viability.
But I will want to point out,
we can condemn racism and bigotry because Trump doesn't have power now.
By the way, speaking of the bigots that he had dinner with, one of them showed up on Alex Jones. So you can only imagine when Kanye and Alex Jones, how horrible the commentary is, and at some point Hitler gets praised. Well, I'm not playing that clip, but I do want to put up a statement by the Republican Jewish Coalition, who finally was much tougher than perhaps some thought that they should have been before. Given his praise of Hitler, it can't be overstated that Kanye West is a vile, repellent bigot who has targeted the Jewish community with threats and Nazi-style defamation. Conservatives who have mistakenly indulged Kanye West must make it clear that he is a pariah. Enough is enough. Let me answer that last sentence, Cornell. Conservatives who have mistakenly indulged. Come on. We know who it is Donald Trump who has indulged this person. Yes. Nobody else has truly indulged this person other than him.
Yes.
It's still this fear, Steve, right? And that there is a fear among some groups that, like, well, Trump could be the nominee, so we don't want to be that far out there.
Well, and I think you have to equate for him in a Republican primary, because there still is a core of voters there that still... And
who are the always Trumpers? As somebody said, we know never Trumpers. Who are the always Trumpers?
Yeah. But in a Republican primary where you have such a small number of people voting, and we just saw it, right? All these, and we're thankful for it on the Democratic side, all these cuckoo candidates that he sort of put his arms around and helped take across, and Herschel Walker's probably going to be the last of them. They didn't do too well in the general, but he's a force in a Republican primary.
But here's where Ron DeSantis actually matters. For years it's been, if you were a conservative or Republican, you opposed Donald Trump, the de facto assumption of all other conservatives and Republicans was that you were for Joe Biden or you were for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now, those conservatives have a place to go, and they can park with Ron DeSantis. They may not support him if he runs in 2024, but for now, they can say, no, I'm not for this guy who's dining with a collection of bigots. I'm for this guy who's like him in some ways, but isn't.
By the way, DeSantis is starting off almost in a place that is impossible to live up to. Look at these favorability ratings right now among just Republicans, Leigh Ann, in this same poll. 68-10 is his fave-unfave. Donald Trump, among Republicans, has a 32% unfavorable rating. And, of course, Mike Pence has a 40% unfavorable rating, simply, obviously, because he followed the oath of the Constitution there. But 68-10, I mean, Ron DeSantis actually needs Donald Trump to stay in this race. Yeah. I think actually more than, because the minute Ron DeSantis is not running against Donald Trump, that 10% is not going to last.
Yeah, I mean, has Ron DeSantis peaked too soon? We're 2 years out. But you're absolutely...
Is DeSantis Italian for Scott Walker?
I mean...
We're going to find out.
If he embraces ethanol.
Scott Walker's campaign was a stretch of my maternity leave. I had a baby. He was leader. I came back, and he was out of the race. Anyway, but that's such a great point. Like, DeSantis is now a foil to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a foil to Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis looks like the Donald Trump ideology without the baggage.
Yeah.
So,
I've been gone through this before, and seeing a lot of frontrunners, the bodies of frontrunners litter throughout history here now. You don't want to be the frontrunner right now.
George W. Bush is the only frontrunner I can think of in sort of my era that started it. It really did sort of, and even he almost had to have near campaign death experience, but he was able to try it. Not everybody's George W. Bush.
I think if I'm one of the people on the back benches looking at Ron DeSantis and Trump, I'm saying go at it, right? Because you're both going to take each other out. See my guy Howard Dean and
No, I know. Well, and Hillary Clinton, 08. I mean, Hillary Clinton, 08. Howard Dean, 04. I mean, we can go down the line. When should other Republicans jump in?
That's a very good question. I mean, I've got a sort of an unconventional view on this, that more Republicans getting in is better to stop Trump. Because
I'm with you on that. I know there's this fear of having too many.
There are 3 of us now.
Yeah, no. I don't understand this. Look, eventually you should get out. But early, come in early.
Yes.
That's okay. Now,
precisely
don't
because,
stay in.
Right.
Yeah,
precisely because we haven't seen from prominent Republicans who want to remain or grow in elective office sustained criticism of Donald Trump and what he's done. And I think you have to have that first before there can be the kind of winnowing.
You need to litigate the Trump issue, is what you think.
Yeah. And it'll be important to hear, for Republican voters, to hear people criticize Trump on substance, on his time in office.
I interviewed Chris Sununu this morning, and
that's what I was about to prompt you about.
Okay. So he was the strongest, I think, that he has been against Trump. He said Trump, his brand is bad for America, bad for the Republican Party, and he says that the country doesn't need Trump and he shouldn't run in 2024. Maybe he's been strong before, but he's still, on the whole election denialism thing. He said, yes, I don't agree with that, but if someone has that position, we shouldn't completely discount them, which is what he told you.
I know.
About a month ago.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, though. Both Sununu and Larry Hogan are on the I Told You So tours.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we were there earlier, like, welcome to the club.
Right.
I don't know if that matters to voters, but we should see. Hey, you guys were great. Cornell, Stephen, Leigh Ann, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.